Hi, I'm going to show you some exercises that you can do at home for your feet. I've been teaching these all week and these are really for clients, but anyone else who feels that they can use these at home to help strengthen your feet and ultimately improve gait, posture and hopefully alleviate any pain throughout the body further up the chain. So, starting with spreading the toes, lifting them up off the floor, keeping the heels down, but spreading the toes as you lower them to the floor and trying to create space between all the toes. And then again, lifting the toes, spreading them out and lowering them. All the while you've got a nice parallel posture. I'm sitting on a low box here just so I can reach my feet, which I'll explain in a moment. This can be done seated on a chair, standing, anywhere that's comfortable. So you're going to keep stretching the metatarsals there underneath the bottom of the toes, lowering back down. So we're creating as much space as possible, noticing if you've got any toes that maybe roll under or are not very easy to space. You could even take hold of your toes, pull them and stretch them and allow them to really spread. Okay, so once you've found the floor and you've grounded your toes into the floor, really noticing the feeling of where the joint meets where the toe meets the foot. So really feeling that you can, connect with the floor. If you can't feel that, maybe put a little bit of pressure with your thumbs to feel that area underneath the toes. From here, we're going to lift up the big toes and lower them back down. And lift and lower. And lift and lower. Really encouraging the big toe away from the little toe as you place it down, the second toe as you place it down. Lift and lower. And always trying to keep the other toes on the floor. You may also notice a roll of the ankles. So if you pick up the big toe and the ankles move, see if you can keep them back into alignment, bring them back into alignment, and maybe don't lift the toe as high, but keeping the alignment of the ankles. If that's too much and that doesn't actually happen yet, you can place the hands on the foretoes and that will encourage a lift of the big toe. So helping by holding the other toes down, nothing wrong with doing that. It's actually the first step if that's not possible. Then your alternative is to lift up the foretoes and leave the big toe down on the floor. And it may be actually more that you're pressing the big toe down to allow the other foretoes to lift. So lifting and lowering the foretoes, but keeping the big toe down without rolling the ankles or the knees. So keeping everything really still. That is the tricky part, being able to keep the ankles aligned. Again, if that's the problem, you hold the big toes down and you see if you can lift the other toes. If that's still not working, then you would hold the big toe and just give the other toes a helping hand. And it may be that you just stretch them out. It may be that you can stretch and hold and then take the hand away and keep the toes off the floor for a moment and let them come down again. So whatever way you can do, using your hands to help if necessary. Okay, now this may not be for everyone, but it may be that you can even keep your first and fifth toe down and lift the middle three, which is a lot more tricky and maybe will come with time, but just something to practice. Okay, and then we have our Mexican wave. So we pick up each toe individually. So we pick up the big toe, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then fifth, fourth, third, second, first. Going in that sequence, practicing individually moving the toes, again without rolling the ankles if you can. Good, okay, and then we're going to try a lifting of the arch. Now this is really, really helpful if you have, or you feel you have flat feet, or you have fallen arches, perhaps at one time you had more of an arch, maybe your shoes have you've had to start buying bigger shoes where your arches have fallen slightly, and this can be really helped by doing a few exercises. So I'm going to turn my foot sideways on so you can see better. And the idea is that we keep these toes lengthened, and again, if you need some help with your hand, you would put some pressure down with your hand. We're keeping the toes lengthened as we drag them towards the heel, and then you lift and spread them back out again. So this may not be possible for everybody, and you may not see anything happening, you may feel it happening, but doesn't look like anything's happening. That doesn't matter at all. Just keep working towards lifting the arch. Now, if nothing's happening in the arch and you want to, again, give yourself a bit of a helping hand, you could put 2 fingers underneath the arch and help to draw that foot, the arch of the foot up. You've still got all those 5 toes lengthened on the floor, and the outer border of the foot is also connected to the floor. And you're starting to lift from there. Just lifting the arches, dragging the toes towards the heel. And then if you're doing one at a time, which sometimes is easier to concentrate on one at a time, you would then do the other foot the same. So spreading and lifting. The trick is really not to scrunch the toes. What we don't want is any toe scrunching. So keep it a smaller movement if that's happening, and also put lots of pressure down with your thumb across that joint where the toes meet the heel, so that you can really connect with the floor with the toes and work the arch of the foot at the same time. Okay. And then we can take a band for our extra foot strengthening exercise, and I usually put it underneath the toes and make sure that there is plenty of band above the big toe. So you don't want your big toe poking out or even near the edge, so you've got a bit of loose band there. And then turn it this way again. We're going to stretch, lengthen out the knee, and you're going to push the ball of the foot into the band. And then when the ankle has gone as far as it will go, you then stretch the toes. So you're pushing with the big toes into the band, then you release the toes, release the ankle. And again, so you push with the ball of the foot, and then the toes, and then the toes, and then the ankle. So I'm sitting on here. It's actually better to be straight out with your leg. You might, if you're sitting on the floor, you might want to have your leg bent, the other leg bent, but keep this one straight so that you can push into the band that way. I'm going to move back so you can see better. So we're pushing into the ball of the foot, through to the toe, then release the toes, release the ankle. Now the one thing to be careful of here as well is that you don't sickle the foot. So we're not allowing the foot, as you push into the band, to kind of go around at the corner. So you can see from where you are if that's happening, and you can realign the ankle there to make sure it's nice and straight. Really important not to twist at the ankle. So a lovely foot strengthening exercise there. And of course you would do both feet. And there we go. There's your set of exercises to be doing to prepare your feet for summer. For those flip-floppy shoes, if you wear them, I find the Vivobarefoot shoes very good for strengthening your feet, but this is the type of exercise you would do to prepare your feet for those types of shoes. So keep doing the exercises a little bit every day. You can do this at your desk, you can do it any way you like, especially if you've got no shoes on, really easy, and just keep strengthening those feet.